A True Prince by Kairia'sYami. Chapter 15. A Girl Worth Fighting For. His head hurts. His whole body hurts, actually. Especially his lungs. But his head positively aches. He can hear voices around him, loud and angry voices, but he can't seem to understand them. He knows he has been unconscious, but he can't quite remember why. He remembers blue, but beyond that, nothing. His head throbs after a particularly loud shout from one of the voices, and he decides he doesn't want to know what's going on. He waits to be unconscious again, away from the pain that is radiating from every part of his body. He tries to drift off, but he suddenly seems to be moving, as if someone is carrying him somewhere, and the pain in his body spikes. He whimpers from the pain, and vaguely he notices the voices quiet down around him. He thinks he might have broken a bone or two somewhere when he hit the... What did he hit? He tries to reach for the memory, wanting answers, but once more, it just seems beyond him.
Aladdin? Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
The words buzz around his ears, and it takes him a moment to sort them out in his head.
Aladdin is my name. Someone's asking if I can hear them. Who?
Finally mustering up enough willpower, Aladdin forces his eyes to open and squints against the lights that seem overly bright. His vision is blurry, and all he can see is blue. He takes a breath to try and speak, but his lungs catch and he starts coughing. For a while he can't breathe through his coughing, and the combination of blue and breathlessness breaks through the block that had been on his memory. He remembers falling. He remembers hitting the water hard.
Must be where the aches in my body come from.
And he remembers holding his breath as he hopes and prays for someone to come and save him. He remembers realizing no one was coming, and resigning himself to die. He remembers his lungs aching for air, and being unable to hold his breath any longer, inhaling and choking on too much water. He remembers blue. Aladdin! Aladdin! He's jolted out of his panic by a loud shout right in his ear, and he jerks away as much as his aching body allows, trying to find the loud sound. His eyes instinctively focus on a pair of dark eyes watching him, and he can feel his body begin to relax as he takes in the familiar features of Jasmine, his love. Soon he begins to recognize the voice muttering reassurances to be that of Genie's, and behind Jasmine he can see the worried figure of Abu. All his closest and dearest loved ones are right here in front of him, worried about him. The panic drains out of him. He is safe. He manages to find his breath and his voice.
I'm okay.
He pauses to allow his injured lungs rest, because those two words manage to exhaust him. He can see some of the tension drain out of Jasmine at his voice, but the arms holding him remain just as tense as before. He manages to move his head enough to look up, and pulls his lips into the best smile he could manage for Genie. The normally blue being is much less blue than usual, with only his clothes remaining the same bright blue. Instead, he looks like a tall, dark-skinned human. Despite that, Aladdin immediately recognizes one of his closest friends.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
Genie's voice is unnaturally quiet, and Aladdin rather wishes everyone would be considerably happier. Sure, he almost died, but it's not like he did die. He's almost died too many times in his life to let near-death experiences affect him for very long. As soon as his body was healed, he'd be right back in tip-top shape, with perhaps only a minor phobia of large bodies of water to show for it. Aladdin can't bring himself to speak again, so he just tries to smile a bit brighter and gives Genie a thumbs up. He manages an even bigger smile when he sees Genie relax a little, and gives the slightest smile back.
There we go. Soon he'll be all back to normal. Now, to find out what's been going on.
He taps Genie and gives him a pleading look. And like the all-powerful being he is, Genie immediately understands what he wants. He carefully shifts Aladdin around so he can see where they are. And Aladdin does his best to hide how much the movement hurts. He quickly turns to examine his surroundings to distract himself. They appear to be in one of Agrabah Palace's hallways, and there is quite the array of characters in it. Obviously he is there, with Genie, Jasmine and Abu, but he's surprised to see not only the Sultan, but several of the palace guards holding a bruised and captive Jafar. His mind races, trying to understand what is going on, but he seems to have been stuck underwater for too long because he can't seem to make sense of it all. Jasmine, probably seeing his confusion, saves him. As I was just explaining to my father when you woke up, we were bringing you to the infirmary, and Jafar... Here she turns the most hateful look Aladdin has ever seen on the bruised vizier. To the dungeons.
Oh, but darling, you haven't explained what's going on. Why are you bringing my advisor to the dungeons? I know you don't like him, but that is no reason to arrest him.
Jasmine turns her angry gaze to her father. That monster over there just tried to murder the prince of one of our closest allies. I think that's plenty of reason to throw him in the dungeon to rot for all eternity. Though I doubt once Deus Bara learns what has happened here, they will be content with letting him languish in a cell. I don't doubt they will call for his execution. Aladdin takes great joy in watching the Sultan splutter in disbelief as Jafar pales dramatically. He is enjoying being the one to just sit back and let the others be in charge for once. That and Jasmine is glorious when she is powerful and angry. She will make an amazing sultana, he thinks dreamily, before focusing again on the confrontation happening before him.
But, how can this? I can't believe this. What happened?
Aladdin, judging his lungs recovered enough for a little more talking, speaks up this time.
From what I could understand from his interrogation of me, your...
He coughs before continuing.
Your advisor, for some reason, believed I had some magic lamp that would enable him to gain great power or something.
He pauses for a breath.
If I had to guess, he was looking for enough power to steal your throne, Your Majesty. When I couldn't answer his questions satisfactorily, he threw me out of the...
His breath catches as he remembers the stomach-turning sensation of an unwilling freefall.
He threw me out of the window of his tower. If it weren't for my dear friend here being lucky enough to be on the shore, I would have drowned. Having said that...
He can't hold in the coughs any longer. He waves a hand clumsily at Genie, and his friend continues for him.
Your Majesty, I am Aziz, one of my prince's oldest friends. I came with him to Agrabah as moral support. When Princess Jasmine alerted me to the prince's disappearance, I decided to search outside the castle, for I know of his tendencies to wander when bored. I arrived at the shore just in time to see my prince fall into the water. I managed to stop him from drowning, but his lungs were filled with water, and he has several broken bones at least. I will submit to any interrogation later to get to the bottom of what really happened, but right now I need to bring my prince to the infirmary, if you will excuse me.
Aladdin is proud of his friend for being so courteous, when he knows Genie is feeling anything but, and is relieved when Genie excuses them. He would really like to be allowed to rest, but he hopes the infirmary has something for the pain. Genie begins walking away from the confrontation, not waiting to be dismissed, and Aladdin knows Abu isn't far behind them. He lets himself relax into Genie's hold and closes his eyes. He falls asleep to the gentle swaying sensation of being carried. Jasmine feels incredibly relieved as she watches the man, Aziz, walk away with the servant Abu, Aladdin in his arms. She has been reassured that Aladdin is okay, or at least on the way to being so, and thanks to Aziz, The man she is slowly falling in love with is away from the monster who tried to murder him. At the reminder of her father's vile advisor, Jasmine hardens her features and turns her attention back to the matter at hand. Knowing her father would want to know, and wanting to get the whole situation over with so she can join Aziz in the infirmary to watch over Aladdin, she begins to speak before her father can. Prince Aladdin and I were going to have lunch together to see if we were compatible and get to know each other better. When he did not show up on time, I went to his rooms, hoping to find him there. Instead, I found his friend and servant worried because they could not find him. We split up to look for him, hoping he had merely wandered off, and that nothing malicious was afoot. However, you know I have always been suspicious of Jafar, so I decided the best option would be to go and check on him first, and then to look elsewhere if he was innocent. I arrived in Jafar's chambers just in time to witness the prince fall over the edge. I watched him land in the water. I can admit to becoming angry, for I had grown rather fond of the prince after a couple of encounters, so I punched Jafar. I do not regret it. I tied him up, and as I was bringing Jafar to the guards, I came across Aziz holding an unconscious Aladdin. We came across some guards, who I asked to inform you, and you know the rest. She can see her father's expressions, disbelieving and disapproving, and just knows he is gearing up for a lecture. She doesn't let him start. I realize you are going to trust your precious advisor of many decades over a female and some foreigners, but I would still recommend you lock him up just in case. After all, if we turn out to be telling the truth, and you let Jafar get away with it, I wouldn't be surprised to hear Deus Bara calling for a war at the gross injustice of it all. As it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they consider severing ties with us. Seeing her father's contemplative look, she nods her head. Now, if you excuse me, I have a prince to check on. As she walks away, she doesn't see the look of pride on her father's face, nor the looks of respect on the faces of the guards. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Jasmine MVP! That was awesome! And I love how that Aladdin's just being dreamy-eyed because of it, just like, she is amazing when she's angry. I've noticed that in fiction, and my male listeners, is that a thing? Are girls pretty when they're angry as long as their anger's not aimed at you? Because I've seen my reflection when I'm angry, and I don't think it suits my features. But anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.